Forensic by Professor Anandaprabha Majumdar. Mrs. Anandaprabha Majumdar is working as Assistant Professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Dr. B.C. Roy Engineering College, Durgapur. She has completed her M.Tech in CSE from University of Kolani in 2010, is a gold medalist. She has done her B.Tech in 2008 with MCKB Institute of Engineering in 2008. She has total 17 years of teaching and research experience. She is a research scholar and at NIT Durgapur pursuing her PhD. Her area of interest is cryptography and steganography, modern data hiding technique, machine learning applications, watermarking and digital signature, and has significant publications in journal and conference on which one has received a Best Paper Award in her area of research. She has taught the course related to network security, cryptography, analysis of algorithm, etc. She is also a member of professional organizations such as IEEE, IET, etc. She has guided several projects in the area of undergraduate and postgraduate students. Now, may I please request Dr. Mrs. Anandaprabha Majumdar, ma'am, to continue.
Thank you so much, Mona Lisa, for your nice introduction. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
Okay. So, a very good afternoon, everyone. So, let us directly go to the talk and let me share my screen. Is the presentation visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. So, once again, a very good afternoon, everyone. So, today, the topic that I am about to discuss, that is cyber crime, cyber threats, and cyber forensics. That is, very eminent topic nowadays. So, as I have managed the presentation, I will start with the cyber crime and then cyber threats and what are the ways of crime that is taking place nowadays. Then we will move to the cyber forensics and some methods that can be or what are the steps that can be followed for cyber forensics. So this way I have arranged it. So starting with the cyber crime means, and that has increased so much nowadays, and after this pandemic it has increased even more. So it is basically involving the use of computing devices along with the internet, right? Huh? Screen touch na? Is the PPT not visible to you?
No, the PPT is not visible. Just your screen is visible.
Oh, just a second then. Can you see the presentation now?
Yeah, ma'am, now it is visible.
And it's in full screen mode, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good. So let's talk about the cybercrime. As I was telling you, that it is basically involving the usage of computing device along with the internet, obviously, and it can be committed. It can target rather an individual, or it can target a group, or obviously it can target some government or private organizations as well. And the target is some kind of harm, right? The reputational harm, the physical or mental harm. So how we can get a protection from that is our target, right? Now that this generic term of cybercrime, it's kind of criminal activities, and it is involving some communication devices, obviously. Yeah, our computers, our mobile phones, anything can be part of that or can be target of that. And if we classify the cyber crime according to how it is being handled, we can see that the computing device that can either be the target, or it can either be the weapon, or it can be an accessory in this whole process. If it is a target, I think it's clear that you know it is getting attacked by some other devices. It's getting attacked through the network, like when it is being target. And when we're talking about that it's a weapon, like with the help of the computer we are doing some other harm to the network, so that is when it is a weapon. And when we are talking about that it is an accessory, that is in a process, this is just used to use it, it's used as a storing cabinet or so. So these are the three ways it can be part of that process, either by target or accessory or as a weapon. Now if we see that what are the types of cyber crime that is happening nowadays, that can be categorized in these different ways. We will see different things separately, like there are identity theft is there, online scam is there, phishing attack is there, or flood attacks are there. So we will slowly see the different types. Now we can classify the cyber criminals into basically these 5 categories. That is it can be a phishing attack, or it can be the social engineering attack, or it can be hacking, or it can be some ransomware attack, or it can be by some just from grudge also. So basically it can be classified. I'll show you data on what type of cyber crimes are happening these days. So you can classify broadly, we can classify broadly under these 5 categories. Moving to the next chart, you can, I think, is it visible? The font is visible to everyone? Okay, I hope so. So we can classify these cyber attacks into groups, like whether it is a ransom attack, or it is out of some political rivalry, or it is due to some competition or so, or cyberware, or maybe some unknown motives. Okay, so if we get from the gathered data of the last happened cyber attacks, we can classify them in these categories. And if you see that here it's shown, a chart has been prepared that the data breaches that is following which pattern and in which domain the breaches has happened and out of which motive. Okay, so later I will share my slides with the coordinator of this FDP, and she will surely share with you all. Now, if you can see that in the educational service, in the educational service, there is the maximum is 11 to 30%. But when you can see that in the healthcare, there is a huge scam from miscellaneous sources, 61 to 100%. Okay, there is in public administration, there is also from miscellaneous sources, there is the data breach. So from this chart, we can get an idea that in which domain and out of which motive that data breaches are happening and following which pattern. Okay, now moving to the hacking, as we know that hackers can be categorized into 3 kind of hacking, that is black hat or gray hat or white hat. When it is white hat, now some of this is illegal and some of part of the legal, right? And gray hat, the hackers, they are actually combination of the both. When white hat, we can say that these hackers are individual who are involved in finding the vulnerabilities. I mean, they are kind of protecting the system, trying to protect the system. And black hat hackers, they are dangerous, they are skilled, and they are doing it illegally. If you see this chart, that in which domain they are attacking. So white hats are legal, they are having the expertise and they are using it for the improvement of the security of the system, whereas portions of gray hat and black hat, they are actually having some malicious intention, right? Okay, moving to the next thing, that system hacking. we are talking about, system hacking is basically the worst subject, and it's consist of different type of software or what that is being used for hacking, or it can be, we can basically define it as a compromise of the computing system. Okay, some software is have identified some target and having some access to that target with, and they're stealing or misusing the sensitive data. That is what the system hacking is. Somehow your computing system is getting compromised and it is getting, your sensitive information is getting misused. Okay, so the malicious hacker, it's trying to identify the weakness of the computing system. And weakness of the computing system, that anybody having any query? Okay. So the hacker is actually the malicious hacker. That person is having some intention of finding the weakness of the computing system, and it's trying to get some unauthorized access to the data, some illegal advantage it is trying to do. And how it is doing it? By some virus or malware or Trojan or worm or some phishing technique, or by through email spamming. Okay, so victims vulnerabilities are rather, or victims system vulnerabilities are getting identified, and the hacker is tracking that, okay, and taking the advantage of that, and he is like flooding some messages or so. So if we try to see that for protecting our systems or protecting our information or protecting our stakeholders information, that what is the threat and what is the vulnerability. Threat is like that any circumstances event that can potentially harm an information system. Okay, it can destroy it, it can modify the data, whatever was the content, the data has been updated somehow. Okay, and maybe the data is becoming unavailable to the other party. So these are the threats, and vulnerabilities means the weakness that you are there in your system, components that can be exploited by the hacker. So okay, so these are the kind of threats which are here, and let us see it in a detail out here. That is, while talking about the phishing, phishing means that basically it is practicing, or it's like creating some fake emails or some messages. Okay, and that is coming from where? Coming from the person of your trust. Okay, that happens with all of us nowadays. So many times the spam calls do come, right? Some spam mails do come, right? So, and that comes from this bank or credit card company or some popular websites. Okay, so if we can classify this phishing attack into three categories, that is, either it is a mass scale phishing, or it is spear phishing, or it is whaling. So depending on who is the target, that phishing attack can be classified. So phishing means that some via some SMS or via some email, they are putting some informations, and they will ask you to confirm your account details or some confirm your identity also. Okay, so if you enter your information, they will use it to steal your identity, or maybe they will use some fake some fraudulent activity they will be involved in. So phishing can be categorized, as I was saying, that depending on who is the target, it can be mass scale, it can be spear phishing, or it can be whaling. Mass scale phishing means that it is going to attack a wide net of attack. It is okay, it's not some fixed target is not there, it's casting a wide net of attacks. Okay, now spear phishing, when we're talking about, it's tailored to a specific victim or some kind of a group of victim. Okay, and that is by using their personal details. So spear phishing is basically identified, the victim is identified, or the group of victim is identified, and using their personal detail the thing is done. And in case of mass scale, it is not actually identified, it's kind of casting a wide net of attacks. And whaling, that is basically a specialized version of that spear phishing. It is when it targets a big victim, like CEO of a company, of executive of some company. Okay, so when the victim is big enough, that big victim is targeted. So whaling is nothing but the specialized spear phishing, we can say. So these three type of phishing we can see that happens, and involving different type of target victims, a set of target victims, and the size of the set of the target victims, they can be classified. And if you see the statistics, it will show you that phishing attacks are being done through HTTPS. We consider the HTTPS to be the secured HTTP, right? But more than 70%, 74% of the phishing websites, they are using HTTPS. Okay. And every new 20 seconds, a phishing site is launched. And server message blocks, though, are targeted by this attack, right? And if we see that the untrained user who are that many known to the usages of the system well, they are becoming the target. And how the attack is being done, that is, malwares are being delivered via the email. If I show you some example, you can see out here that a mail has come from university to a specific network user, that the email is saying that your password will expire in a day. So it has given you a link, and the link you need to update there. So whenever you will click that link, you will put your information there, the information is going to be stolen. And I will show you how they are redirecting the path of message. I'll show you just a second. Okay. So phishing example, I think it is clear to all of you. That is, you are from this example rather, that some links are coming through the mail, and so you have some activity. If we are, if we are, if we can, you can use the system properly, or then we are not going to be part of it, right? Now, social engineering, if we talk about, that is attempting to steal the person's identity. Okay, it will trick you to give your sensitive information, your personal information, via some text message or via over phone, maybe through email or instant messages. So that is the social engineering. So their target is to get your personal identity, that is, to get some information about your identity. Like sometimes it happens that messages come from it shows that BSNL also, the message has come that your number is going to be blocked in few days if you do not this and this. So this is, I will have to be, I should know that this is a spam, so I shouldn't come in the trap of that. Okay, so via social engineering, it is there for stealing of the personal information, and that is coming through these ways. Okay, now we will see about different type of malicious softwares. Those are available, or those are being used, or those are targeting our digital devices. Malware means that is the unwanted software, of course, and it is installed when you, maybe you don't even know that, without your consent, that software is installed in your digital device. Okay, and these are all these virus, worms, Trojan horse, or spyware, adware, ransomware, all are the subgroups of this malware. So without your consent, some computer programs are there in your system only, it is installed in your system only, and through which you are under the threat. So now we will see the subgroups of this malware, starting with the virus, where it is going to, or it is trying to infect a carrier. Okay, and with the help of that carrier, it will be spreading. Okay, so the virus is trying to infect a carrier, and in turn, it will take the help of that carrier only to spread that. Okay, so it's a program, all of us know that it's a program that can replicate it, and that can spread from one machine to the other. The target is that actually, to replicate. Okay, now virus infection, we can actually categorize into basically three categories, that is whether the infection is coming directly, or fast infection, or slow infection. And sometimes that slow infections which are to trick the antivirus program as well. So direct infection means that directly your user is opening a file. Okay, every time the user is opening a file, that specific infected file, and it is getting infected by that virus. So that is the direct infection. And no, when talking about the first infection, that is when the virus infected file that is being accessed by a program. Suppose I have written a C program that is reading a file. Okay, now the file that I am reading, that is infected. So that is first infection. Via that file I am getting infected. Okay, now slow infection, when talking about, that is when the virus infects in a new or modified program. Somehow the program is modified, the file is modified, and that is getting infected. And these slow infections are not always seen by the antivirus programs. Other than that, we are having sparse infection, or RAM resident infection, randomly infection. When it is happening, it's not targeting that hole, but randomly it is infecting some files on your system. That is sparse infection. And when the infection is already there in your RAM, that is RAM resident infection. So actually virus infection can be categorized into these basic categories. And moving to the next one, that is logic bombs. So they are triggered depending on certain condition. They are designed to execute or explode, but they will not directly work when some certain condition is triggered, or some certain event has happened. The event, then the bomb is going to get triggered. Okay, and the common use can be there in the financial or business world, right? Moving to the Trojans, basically it is a programmer software that is designed to look like a useful file. It will look like a useful file, but when it is getting installed, it is going to steal the information, or it is going to delete the data. Okay, so, and one more thing I'll tell you, that Trojan horses are compared to other type of malware. If you compare it, that normally it happens that only once it runs and then it is done, it's functioning. Okay. Okay. So if this by these Trojans, you can, if you can infect a server, or if the server is infected by a Trojan, then it will be distributed to its host websites, right? Moving to the worms. Worm can be basically the internet worm or email worm, you will see. While talking about the worm and virus, they are sometimes, you will see that they are getting interchanged. Okay. Now, worm is basically more dangerous than the virus because it can self-propagate. Okay, it's designed to replicate itself and disperse through the user's network. And we can see that, we will see rather, that two types of worms are mainly there. That is your email worm or internet worm. That is through your email, it has been shared, or it can copy itself, or it can travel through the user's network. Similarly, internet worm is there. It's also conspicuous to the user, and it will scan the computer. It will scan for the internet ports, and then it will download itself to the computer, and through those ports it will infect to the network. It will infect the network. Moving to the next category, that is zombie and botnets. That is secretly they take over another network computer by exploiting software flow. Okay, now a network of compromised computer, that does create a zombie network or a botnet. Botnet means it's nothing but it's a network of connected devices, right? And when that is a network of the compromised devices, that is going to create a zombie network. And these collection of compromised machines, they are actually used to transfer this worm, Trojan, or so, such kind of attacks to the other those are connected in the network. And I think all of us are very much aware with this adware, because nowadays whenever you are installing a app in your mobile device, you can see the ads are coming. Now, how these ads are coming? you will see that suppose you have purchased a book, a type of book you have purchased from the Amazon. Now that database is available with the adware, and they will suggest you, suppose you are opening another app. Okay, you have opened another app, you are, suppose you were, let's say you were doing some gaming also, there it is showing you the app, the adware is running, it will suggest you that what kind of more books you can buy from the Amazon, because you have bought some books, and that category of books they are giving you suggestions, right? So sometimes this adware can be harmful, and some not always harmful, they are not always harmful, but it can be harmless as well. So their target is this adware, that is obviously a malware type, and they will show you some push advertisements in your software, in the user software. They will display some advertisement. How they will display it? By gathering the information of the user, what kind of information you search in the web. So depending on that information, they will give you those ads. Okay, and with this gathered information, the corresponding information they have collected, they will show you accordingly. Now spyware is like the adware only. Its target is that it will spy on the user, that is what the user is browsing through. Okay, what the user is seeing, what type of information it is asking, or what type of information it is searching in the web, then those informations the spywares are going to collect, and they will display as pop-ads to the user's computer. And one more thing is that the spyware, they will cause the program, your system, they will make slow or sometimes unfunctional. How? Because they will use the memory from your machine only, from local machine they are going to use the memory, and in background they will run like the adware, and but their target will be that to gather information of the user. Okay, so in your system only a spyware is running, you don't know, and it is collecting the information, it's keeping a close watch on you, and it is using your memory, your system's memory, making your system slow, making your system, your program unfunctional, right? So that is what a spyware is. Now if you see this exploit kit, how this exploitation is happening. So suppose you were searching in a normal website, some compromised websites are also there. Suppose you were clicking on a spam link, or in a normal website you were seeing some malicious advertisement, you were doing a click, you were clicking there, your traffic is getting directed, you were getting directed to a malicious website. Okay, and through there is an exploit server that is infecting you through some ransomware or some banking trojan or some malware, you are getting infected. So uh, if you are clicking on a spam link, you are getting redirected through the exploited server, and that is infecting you via some virus or trojan or malware. So identity thefts, as we were talking about, that how your private information or how the loss of privacy is happening. So because we need to keep in mind that whatever we are doing in the internet, that is being monitored. Okay, that is getting logged, and that is your purchases, that data is also there in some database. So there can be some breaches, data breaches. If happens, then that can be theft to the identity. Now talking about the denial of service attack, that is, you see that the network of hijacked computers, that is the compromised devices, the network of compromised devices is there, and this network is to the target server is being flooded with the server request. Okay, their job is that they won't keep the bandwidth free, no bandwidth is kept free. They are like, they are spoofing the information to the target server, that server requests are coming and it is using the whole bandwidth. Moving to the ransomware attack, that is obviously the type of malware only, that will restrict your access to your systems and files. And basically what they do is they will access your file, they will encrypt your file, then they will demand the ransom, and then you can restore the access. Okay, when obviously how these ransomware attacks are happened, normally it's through a malicious email link. If you click on the link, then the ransomware gets downloaded in the computer or smartphone or so, and they can spread hugely through the connected network. Okay, so you can see here, I think the statistics that how this is paid or how these attacks are happening. So here are some examples of already happened ransomware attacks, and what was their target or so. Okay, so they're going to target some of your system or some of your software or some of your database, and they will ask for ransom, and then only you can get the access back. Okay, and normally it spreads through the email link, or if you in some unknown attachments. Okay, now how the business or official mail gets compromised. So business mail compromise, it's a big problem for the organizations, right? And if the organization, if one employee of the organization is compromised, how it is so? By by downloading or spreading some automatic malware. Some malware has been come and has been shared with the mail. Suppose some malware link has been shared, that has been downloaded, and automatically that gets spread. Okay, and that will arch for the financial transactions. Mostly the business email compromises that is linked with the financial transactions. Okay, so we should have the awareness. All of us should have the awareness of cyber crime or cyber threats, so that we do not be part of that. Okay, and we need to pay attention, obviously, to the mail addresses and the business accounts, and they can be, you know, they can be protected somehow. If you see that how this thing happens, what is the timeline of the business mail compromise? So first, the target is identified. Obviously the huge business group that will be targeted, right? That is targeted. Then spear phishing, for spear phishing mail, the person has been groomed. Okay, they are being groomed for sending these mails. Now when this mail will come, and via those links there can be some financial transfer also. So this timeline, I think you can see. And actually we should be, there is no other options other than being careful. You can see that one crime, but in many names it is happening, right? It's maybe involving your financial data, or maybe it is involving through mail, the scam is coming. It's, your personal identity threat is there, or mail account is getting compromised also. So in many name the crime is happening, and that is targeting some way. It's targeting your some way. It is going to hamper our life, right? And as I was telling you at the starting only, that after post pandemic, that there are many issues those are coming, that cyber threats that has been generated from this after this COVID-19, that some app they has been made, some app now you have installed that app, and that is stealing your mobile data. Okay, so lot many cyber threats are coming like that. And another one, you can give you example, like for COVID-19 vaccine, they are asking for the OTP, and as you are giving the OTP, your credit card transaction is happening. Okay, so that OTP fraud call, it can be there. Or sometimes this one can, that Netflix is giving some free time to watch, free pass is giving. So all these are basically cyber attacks, so we should be careful for that. That is the only option. Okay, so this is another example. So this fake information that can easily be shared through mail and anybody can be targeted. So these are the few examples that if you see that Google is also giving the information that before COVID-19 how much was the rate, and post COVID-19 that has been hugely increased in all the fields. Cyber threats are coming in all the fields, in healthcare, in financial service, in medical supply, in everywhere you can see the increase in the cyber threat. Okay, so from the recent studies, we can, major points if we note down that what are the global trend in this cybersecurity, we can see that growing threat to the national security it is there. Maybe there are some well-founded, well-funded or well-organized operations are happening with with some due to some political or technical gain that is being done by some other party also. Now increasing threat to online services attacks are there that is affecting the individual, right? Then the emergence of sophisticated market for software flow, so that is once again the carry out espionage on the government attack or some legal or illegal sale of the software vulnerabilities is there. So this mischievous activities in the cyberspace that is actually happening, and that has taken a huge growth, rather I must say that it's no more the novice geeks anymore. It has been to the organized criminal gangs. They are using the high tech, right? And if you see here that the cybersecurity, we are, we will now should know about the cybersecurity, right? And the cybersecurity will give us the protection for these breaches. Okay, so our target will be that we will consider that there will be the system like this, the attackers are there, so we will we will be preventive. Okay, so we should be preventive. We should be able to, we should be practiced, or we should design our network or device in such a way so that it is able to be protected from this damages or some unauthorized access. So security and safety that we need to take care about. So security means actually it's like how you are protecting your system, and safety means that you will know that beforehand, you will know that there are some risk or threats, and with the help of technology you will be safe, you will keep yourself safe. That is the cyber security, it's the safety. Now we can, there are various domains of this cyber security. If you see that it's there in the cryptography is there, then your different security operations are there, then threat intelligence is there, in governance there is laws and regulations are there, different policies are there. So it's a huge domain, right? Some frameworks are designed, so there are huge domains, those are connected in the groups or subgroups under this cybersecurity domain. So our target will be that active, our system should be active. It's not like it's showing that you are having the security system but you are having none, right? So as you can see from this image, that is self-explanatory, there shouldn't be any false sense of security, right? Your system can be very good, but your system will be very good only when the functions are activated, right? Now which one is a secure system we can call about? So CR triad, we will see that three dimensions are there for a secure system, that confidentiality, integrity and availability. These are the three dimensions. Confidentiality means it will restrict the access to the authorized individuals only. No, any unauthorized individuals, they cannot have access to the system. Then integrity, data has been cannot be altered by in any unauthorized manner, it can be altered only by the authorized access. And the availability, the informations can be accessed and modified by the authorized individuals, and that too in an appropriate time frame. So we need to take care about when we are saying that a system is a secure one, then that means this triad is satisfied. Okay, confidentiality is satisfied, then your integrity is satisfied, and availability is there. Moving to the first point, the examples, if I can give, I will give you. That is the, like when the criminal is stealing the customer's username or password or credit card information, right? That is breaching the confidentiality. It's so confidentiality about, it's about the protecting information from the unauthorized access. And integrity means that that cannot be updated, right? Someone cannot alter the payroll information, okay, of a product design. So the information should be protected from unauthorized modification. So confidentiality means it's protected from unauthorized access, and then integrity means it will give you a one layer more, that is one layer more security, that is from unauthorized modification. Then the availability, that is suppose it's showing that the customers are unable to access the online services. So it's about preventing that how the information is accessed. Okay, nobody, any unauthorized person cannot access everything. So it should be disrupted. Okay, it will be disrupted. The unauthorized access will be disrupted. The data is not available to anybody. Okay, or everybody, I must say. So this is the CR triad we have seen, and how we can protect. Obviously, that we need to identify that which one is the weakest link, right? Now, technology, by the people are bounded by this process and technology, right? We are bounded by this process and technology, and that is the organizational culture. And the weakest link need to be identified, then only we can protect our system. Okay, now I will move to the next part, that is the cyber forensics. Okay, so these are the things we will mostly cover out of the cyber forensics. That is, what is the computer forensics, and what is the reason of gathering of the evidences, and who can use the computer forensics, and what are the steps for that, and what is the way for handling the evidence. Okay, and how the investigation, what are the steps of investigation. Then we will see the requirements of those handling of information. Then we will see about anti-forensics, what is that, and how the evidence processing is done, and how we can even hide the data some in a secured manner, or how we can recover that as well. Okay, so starting with the definition of the computer forensics, it is basically involving the preservation, identification, extraction, documentation, interpretation of the computer media for evidentiary and root cause analysis. Okay, so we need to be able, we need to, some crime suppose has happened, then we need to be able to, you know, gather the information about that, whether the crime has happened or not, whether the data has been forged or not. Okay, so this computer forensics will handle that. It will involve in these steps actually. It will preserve, it will identify, it will extract, it will document, keep the documentation. Okay, and then it will interpret that whether the data has been tampered or not. And then it will keep the evidence of that the same also, right? Now, multiple methods can be there, like discovering the data, the computing system, then whether that something has been deleted there, or the some file has been damaged, or then we need to, sometimes it may be that there can be live monitoring, okay, live evidence. That is also one process is there. Then detecting that whether there is any violation in the policy. Okay, so that is how what computer forensics is involved with. Now, what is the digital evidence? Okay, any information that is subject to human intervention, whether there is any human intervention or not. somehow that I was telling you that whether the data has been tampered or not. Okay, so that actually constitutes the digital evidence, and obviously the evidence should be in the human readable format. The the expertise person should be able to interpret the same. Okay, then that can constitute the evidence. And if I give you some example, that like emails, some emails, those I mean, those are related to those data breaches and all. Suppose the emails has been deleted, but still we should be able to recover that. That is part of the computer forensics. Okay. Now, some formatting has been done to the hard drive data, let's say, but that has been, recovered or not. Okay. Now, investigation is happening on multiple users have taken over your system, but still you should have the computer forensics should have the access, that who and what is the order of access, what is the order of the access of the multiple users to the system. So these will come under the computer forensics. And the reasons, obviously, what is the reasons of this evidence keeping and all, there is a wide range of crimes and misuses those are happening nowadays, and I have shown you so many examples that how the data can be attacked by due to different causes. And how it is how the data theft is being done, or how some unauthorized access is being coming to the personal information, or intellectual property breaches is coming, or say through the mail, through the spam mails, the virus is getting distributed, or so the worm is getting distributed. So these is the reasons that we need to have the evidence, maybe in the business or non-business environment, but this is the reasons for evidence keeping. We may need the evidence due to that purpose, whether there is any wrongful act is there or not. Okay, to identify that. Okay, any violations has been there with the software policy or not, software piracy is happening or not. So there is a huge range of reasons that we need to give the evidence of. Now, who is going to use this computer forensics, or who is going to get the favor of this computer forensics? Obviously, these persons like insurance companies or civil litigations or criminal prosecutors, they are going to get the help. They are going to know that whether any tampering is there or not. Okay, enforcement officials also, or maybe some individual citizens like us. Okay, so we are going to be, that is going to be helpful. Computer forensics is going to be helpful for all these domains. Now, what are the services available with the forensic services which are available mostly? Like whether the content is tampered, or the comparison with the original data format, or what is the sequence of transaction. I was telling you earlier also that what is the sequence of transaction. If there are multiple users using the system, then transaction sequencing, then the extraction of data that has been deleted, the files are deleted, still we should be able to recover the same. The forensic services are there. Lot many forensic algorithms can be there who will help in that recovering of those deleted files, or some keyword searchings, or decrypting the passwords. So these can be the different forensic services. Now we will see the steps of the steps those are followed. And according to the professionals, actually it is a 4-step process, that is acquisition, identification, evaluation, and presentation. Acquisition means physically or remotely you are obtaining the possession of the computer. Okay, you are having the all network maps of the system, you are having the external physical storage devices, first you are acquiring the same, then that is getting identification. It is involving that that the data can be recovered or retrieved or not. Okay, by running different tools or software suites, whether it's getting identified. So after acquiring, After getting the possession of the same, it is then getting identified that how that can be retrieved or how that data can be recovered with the help of some tools, forensic tools. Then the evaluating the information or how much you have been able to recover. Okay, evaluating the data that has been recovered to determine that whether you are getting some suspect or not. Okay, so then comes the evaluation. After identification comes the evaluation, and then it goes for the presentation. So after it has been evaluated, then it that evidence is ready, and that can be presented. Okay, and that should be in a soluble manner, right? So that should be understandable manner. Everyone should be able to identify that. So this is a 4-step process for digital evidence preparation in computer forensics. And how it is handled, how the evidence can be handled, that is, there are some legal rules, right? For admissibility of the evidence, legal rules are there that we can determine that whether it can be the potential evidence or not. So suppose you have identified one breach has been identified, but whether it can be a potential evidence or not, there are some rules. Cyber laws are there that has been getting updated each day. So some strict cyber laws are there. So through those legal rules, we need to determine that whether which one can be a potential evidence or so. Then it must be obtained in a manner that it should ensure the authenticity or the validity. Okay, that the evidence has once again not been tampered. Okay, because if you were considering the same as the evidence, then you should know that whether the legal rule is being followed or not. According to the legal rule, you are identifying or you are determining that whether it is a potential evidence or so. Then you should protect it in such a way so that it doesn't get tampered. Okay, so that it should be and the authenticity of the same should be ensured. Okay, that is how it is to be handled, how the evidence is to be handled. They cannot be damaged or destroyed or so or compromised, right? They should be, the authenticity should be ensured, right? And one more thing, that no virus can be no I mean the evidence that cannot be attacked by some virus or so, right? And the extracted whatever information that has been extracted in the computer forensic steps in 4-step process, so the relevant evidence is properly handled, and that would be protected from some damage, electromagnetic damage. That means it shouldn't be it can, so that it should be protected in such a way that it is not handled by the others against which it is being used, rather. Then establishing and maintaining of the chain of custody and all, then limiting the time. Okay, the person who is affected, then for how much time is affected. So there should be a limit to that, computer forensics should be able to help it both ethically and legally. And the corresponding client who is the victim, they should be ethically and legally, they should be protected, and there the evidence comes into help, rather. So accordingly, the evidence should be handled that way during this forensic exploration. Okay, so here are the steps. It will tell us about the initiation of an investigation, how the thing happens, and how it's not random, right? It's not like that you are having the files, you are exploring the files randomly. Okay, it's at a process step, some organized steps, those are to be followed, and then only the process can start. Okay, then you can, after starting, you can then designate, through the process only you can designate and suspect the things, those are coming in the evidence part. Okay, you can collect the mail, you can, the DNS can be accessed, or the other network service logs can be accessed. Okay, so these are the steps of investigation, how to initiate an investigation. And obviously the TCP UDP port scans, okay, exhaustive scan, that how the data has been transferred or so, what communication has been happened, or if the concerned person is, communicating with the affected site or person, then what are the steps. So the part of the investigation, the steps do really matter. Okay, moving to the next point, that is the incident response. That is after identity, after designation and evidence custodians, then we are moving to reviewing. Okay, now whether there is any existing system, then we are reviewing that whether there is any intrusion detection or not. Okay, so now we can move to the handling of information. Okay, so the data that has been collected in the process of investigation, how that is being handled. Now, two type of information can be there with us. That is either the information that you have collected in investigation that is volatile or it is non-volatile. Now we should know that which we are naming to be the volatile information and which one is the non-volatile information. Volatile information means the network information, right? That is the communication between the system. As I was telling you, that scanning of the port and all, the communication between the system and the network. What are the steps of communication? What are the communication that has happened? Then active processes, the programs and which are currently active in the system, or the users or employees which are currently logged into the system, or the files, some hidden files or rootkits which are loaded in the system or which are in the libraries. Okay, so these are all volatile information. That is network information, that is with whom the communication is happening. Then what are the active processes are there in the system, who are still logged into the system, and the open files which are there in the library, which can be a Trojan or which can be some other hidden files. So these are the volatile information. And then there are some non-volatile information that will include, like the configuration settings, the system files, right, the registry settings which are there. Then the drive mappings, through the drive mappings that can be accessed from the system. Okay, so these are the non-volatile information. Volatile informations, because they can be tampered, right? So they should be accessed within a specific time frame. So those are the volatile informations as I was discussed, and some are non-volatile, like configuration setting of the system files or registry settings and all. Okay, now we can move to the requirements, computer forensic requirements. Okay, some hardware requirements are there, some BIOS requirements are there, some operating systems obviously will help, and then software and forensic tools. Okay, so for carrying out this computer forensics, these are the things those are going to, those we require, obviously, the basic things. Okay. Now, moving to the next thing. So forensics, what we have got a brief idea, I think, about what computer forensics is. That is, we want to get the digital evidence, whether some tampering or forgery has happened or not, or some kind of malicious attacks has happened to the system or not. That the computer forensics will tell us. That will, or make the digital evidence and will give us the proof and will carry out the process, so that we can identify that who is involved in all this. Now, talking about anti-forensics means in such a way it will make the communication in such a way that the access won't be seen. The other person cannot actually have the access. In a covert manner, the communication will happen. That is what anti-forensics is. Okay, software that will limit the corrupt evidence, right? Or I can say that in other way, that it's like a new kind of data hiding, right? In a hidden manner, the data is being shared, or some secured data is being shared, and that is not involving, that doesn't need involvement of the forensics. In a secured way, the covert communication is happening, and in that communication the others or intruders is not having the access to that. Okay, so in any environment that can happen. And okay, before I go to that part, that is how securely the things, how data hiding can happen and how that can help in secured communication, we will just see the evidence process guidelines, that what is the processing guidelines after you have collected the evidence, how it can be handled or so. So it's a new technology recommended 16-step evidence processing guideline. That is, considerations are first given to the volatile information, as I was telling you, right? And obviously, you should prevent all the remote accesses to that machine. Okay, because that can disrupt the evidence, right? Some manually or remotely, that can disrupt the content. So shutdown of the computer is done with the consideration that you should get the volatile information. Then document the hardware configuration of the system, that what is the system file are there and what are the register conditions and all. So computer configuration, those are taken care. Then the transport of the system to a secured location. So I mean, that cannot be accessed, right? That cannot be accessed remotely in such a way that is transported. Then making the bitstream backups of hardware disk and floppy disk. So whatever, you are just like you are scanning the system. What is the current status of the system? You are keeping a scan of it. Then mathematically authenticate the data and all the storage devices. That is the step 5, and we should be able to prove that anything is not altered. Okay, after you have got the system, I mean, I'm talking it from the point of view of the person who is investigating or who is gathering the evidence. So that person, after he has got it from in possession, no way it can be modified. Okay, so no way it can be altered. Then in the next step, the document the system date and time, then list of key search words, the last search words in the device, what has been there, that list can be made of. Then the Windows web file that is to be evaluated, and most important thing is that the file slack evaluation. File slack means that after the data is stored in some location, some portions are there in your disk, those are not getting used. Okay, after partition, some portions are there which are not getting used, or data cannot be stored in that area. Okay, so that is very important out here, that because that can lead to some security leakage. A significant source of security leakage is this file slack. Then the unallocated space, evaluation of the unallocated space, that is to be done, that whether some files has been recently erased or so. Okay, unallocated space evaluation. Then going for the search file slack, or unallocated space for the keywords. Okay, the keywords we had made a list initially, then we are going to search for the same, and then document file name, states, and so at a detailed scanning is going to be done. Okay, identify the file program or storage anomalies. In this detailed scanning, whether some anomaly is coming into consideration. Then the program functionality is evaluated, then the findings has been documented, and the software copies has been retained. So it's a step-by-step process, and obviously that is a guided process, and with the help of some tools also, the authenticity can be checked, and these things, as I was telling you, this unallocated space or file slack, this gives a major role to that. Okay, so after we have seen the how the evidence processing is done, then we can once again come to that part that I was telling you, that is data hiding. So data hiding, that means it's nothing but that it's not having some unauthorized access. It's not supposed to have some unauthorized access because it's hidden. Okay, how it is hidden? Because it's known only between the sender and the receiver that the what you are seeing, I mean, in which form you are seeing the data may not. It may be like there are some hidden data in the background, right? How it is happening? So is that steganography and watermarking, these are the methods, they actually take part in this data hiding, or they are kind of data hiding, I must say, that it is challenging the human eyes. Some redundant informations are always there in the data, right? Whether I mean, here data by data I am meaning the multimedia data. It can be your audio data, it can be your video data, it can be the text data, or it can be the image data. So the target is, or this technography or watermarking algorithms, what they do is, their target is that they will actually find out these redundant zones, that where you are having some redundant informations, those redundant informations are being used, and in a good way, that is, it is using those redundant information to give a protection to the system, okay, with the help of data hiding. It can be like, for copyright protection, and so the watermarking is used, right? So we will see briefly about this steganography process. So that is the art of storing information, and in such a way it would be stored that the existence of the process is hidden, as I was telling you, that whether the I mean that's why, or that's where it differs from the cryptography, right? That when I mean, in cryptography, we know that somehow the data has been, I mean, crypted. Okay, but in steganography, no, it's not crypted. Okay, it's there, but in a hidden way. The existence of the same is not known to the outsider. Okay. Now, a simple example can be shown, that suppose this is the message that the person want to give. This is the message, but how it is given, that a extra paragraph has been written, and the paragraph words has been chosen in such a way that you are taking this is a very primitive example just to make you understand. That is the first first letter of all the words, those has been collected to make the message. Okay, so this is just an example to, so the other person who will see, that person will see the, I mean, see it as a paragraph, right? But it is containing the hidden message, right? So actually it's a very simple and effective way. Not this example I'm talking about, the method. Okay, this is just for example. Now, while we talk about the watermarking, that is also a data hiding method. Okay, so its target is also hiding the data within the data. Okay, but from it's being implemented from the point of view of the data protection. So we are hiding the data, the secure data is being hidden. Maybe some cover is there, and behind that cover, the cover is the redundant bits in which, from which we are using. Okay, we are using the redundant information from the cover data, and those are used in a from the point of view of the data protection. Okay, the secure data is being hidden behind that cover. Okay, now what are the file formats that works here? Like the file formats which are having room for compression. As I was telling you, some redundant informations are there that can be compressed. Okay, like the image files, like the sound files, the video files in these formats. So the hidden information that may be encrypted or they may not be encrypted. So when it is encrypted, then it is a combination of cryptography and steganography, or when it is not, then it is only steganography or watermarking or so. So The target is, in case of this anti-forensics techniques, the target is that here you are actually even not letting the outside world know about the presence of the ongoing communication, okay, or about you are keeping your data in the network, but in such a way that you have put a watermark to it, you have hidden the for data protection, right, so that the data cannot be tampered or so. So numerous software applications I think are available nowadays that is going to provide us with this. And then we will move to the next step, that is the methods, another way of hiding data, that can be with the file system manipulation. In the slack space, I was telling you about the slack space, that is the space that is there between the logical end and the physical end of a file. That means when logically your file is ended and when physically your file is ended, there is the space, there is the unused space, right? So there the remaining bytes of that cluster that can be used, okay, that can be used, that slack space can be accessed, and that can be edited somehow, and that can give us a sense of protection. Okay, so the file can be manipulated in such a way, some data can be hidden in that location, that is that so-called unused space, and I mean that is not the used space by this file, and that can be protected that way. Then partition waste space, due to partition sometimes happen that some sectors are getting not used, that is wasted, so that tracks, right, so that empty tracks that can be used for hiding, for data hiding. So keep always in mind that data hiding here is being done from the point of view of the protection of the data. Now sometimes it's there in the hidden drive space, okay, some in between partition there are some space, right, so there can be, it can be hidden there also. Now bad sectors that occur when the operating system attempts to read information from a sector unsuccessfully, right, so after some unsuccessful tries, what it does is it copies the information to another sector, right. Now user can control these bad sectors, the flagging of bad sectors, and that can be read or written with some by some editor we can hide some information out there, and that can be used in turn for the protection of the same. Okay, so some extra tracks, that is another way, by using those extra tracks if it is there, and those the tracks which are not required, that can be used, that can this hex editor, by this we can access that, and also sometimes by changing the file extension as well. So those are the techniques of hiding the data and protecting the data. And then by manipulating HTTP request or encryption of the same. So these are the various ways of hiding the data, right? And there are ways of some you can scope of research is also there, like in this domain of data hiding, huge work is being done in this data hiding domain, and you can work on that actually. Now moving to the next point, so till now we were saying that how the data can be hidden, and after it is hidden, then whether we can detect it, how we can detect it, or how we can recover it. For that, there is the method, that the reverse method of steganography, that is the stake analysis. Okay, stake analysis, that will be the doing the decoding. In case of steganography, what we were doing? We were encoding. We were encoding the hidden data, or the secured data. We were encoding within that cover. I told you about the cover, and the stake analysis will give us the just the reverse process. It's the art of detecting whether, or decoding whether there is any hidden information or not, or recovering of that secured information. Because steganography, the encryption or the encoding, that is being done in the sender's end. Now the when the receiver is getting the same, the person need to decode it, right? the person need to recover the data. So hiding information within the electronic media, so it has been done by some alterations or without alteration, because you will come to know, if you go through the recent works in this field, you will see that that is non-modification based, or we name it zero modification based techniques are being or a different type of this zero modification based algorithms are being proposed nowadays. There you will see that no modification is being done. When you are being able to secure your data behind the cover without modifying it, without altering it, then it is it's going to get some lesser attraction, right? So intruders are not going to attracted to the same. But when your media, the cover media is somehow altered, when you are hiding the information, when it is altered, then that is that is going to catch the attention of the others. But when it is not altered, in no way you have modified it, it is zero modification based, then they are more secured, we can say. And those kind of lot many algorithms are being proposed nowadays, and out of that you will see that some are cover modification based. That is I was telling you the first thing, that is some cover is existing, some cover is there, you are modifying it, or some are there that is cover selection based. That means you are having the cover media files, and in such a way, following some algorithm, you are selecting that the order. Okay, you are sending the order of the cover. You are not modifying the cover. You are interested in the order in which they are accessed, and they are hiding the information. And then some are there that cover synthesis based. Synthesis means that the whole cover itself is getting generated. You are generating the data, you are engineering the data, the cover is getting engineered. Okay, so different ways are there. And when the when the receiver is getting or detecting or decoding the hidden data from it, then that method we are naming to be the stake analysis. Now, the pattern of degradation or the unusual characteristics of the specific type of steganography method, uh, that we call to be the signature. Okay, what is the signature of that specific type of steganography algorithm, right? Then, and steganography softwares are to actually they will look for those signatures in the data. Whatever data is being shared, the stake analysis techniques will look for those signatures, because the steganography methods, different methods, they have their signatures, how they will degrade the data. As I was telling you just now, that how if you are modifying your cover, then somehow you are degrading, right? You are degrading that characteristics of the file, and that signature you are keeping. But when you are synthesizing the file, that is a more novel technique. So in that case, you are not even keeping your signature. So the stake analysis software won't be able to find out the signature. Okay, now detection method through firstly comes through the human observation. That is opening a text document, you can search for the common word processor, and it will show you that whether you have appended some extra spaces or not. Now, initially there was a steganography technique that it's called the white space method. Addition of some white space, that is, suppose in between the words you are adding some space, and when you are adding the space, you are suppose you are considering it to be like hiding a 1, and you are not adding some space, it's like hiding a 0. If it is so, so your secure data, you can alter your text. Okay, you can alter the text document, and you can easily hide the message. But the thing is that if that data is coming, or some other person is getting an access to the data, if that person is updating the data, updating the text document, then you cannot find out that secure information. You will lose that information, right? That information, some noise will be affected that text document in that case. So from if it is identified by the human observation, then it is an obvious technique. That is not a that dependable one, right? Now, images or sound clips that can be viewed or listened, or for whether any distortions are there or so. So these are the ways, stake analysis by human observation, that is a process of detection. Then the software analysis. By software analysis, okay, like by putting in some filters or so, we can search for that whether a noise is there. Suppose within the audio file you have hidden secure message as a noise. Okay, now through some filters I can access that whether some noise is there, and I can access that content. Okay, so if the original media is available, I can match with that, and I can detect the modification, and I can easily identify that where is the information there. So always we need to keep in mind that if you are using this stake analysis, I mean, if steganography, so steganography method is being followed at the sender end, and there the algorithm should be such strong that it shouldn't come under this any kind of analysis, right? It shouldn't. And only that is possible when you are synthesizing the cover. If you are modifying the cover for hiding that secured information, then it will be somehow, it would be identified by even not by human observation, then by the software analysis. Now, disk analysis utilities that can search for the hard drive, whether there is any hidden tracks or so. As I was telling you, in some extra tracks that can be hidden. Or another way is that RAM slack, that is the space that is there, from the end of the file to the end of the sector which it is containing, right? Now, before a sector is written to the disk, it is stored in a buffer somewhere in the RAM. Okay. Now, if the buffer is only partially filled with the information, and before it is committed to the disk, then from the end of the buffer, then it would be remnants of the same can be, can be written to the disk from the end of the buffer, right? And information that was never saved, and that can be found in this RAM slack space. Suppose you are not saving it, but still that is available in this space. Okay. That in between space, the end of the file till the end of the container, end of the sector. So in between space, there we can find that not even saved data also that can be found. Now, firewall or routing filters that can also be applied for searching for the hidden or invalid data in the datagram headers. Now, statistical analysis, that is another process of stake analysis. See, who is doing that stake analysis, that is important. Okay, because whether you are for some illegal action, some intruder, if it is doing so, so that means that person is going to hack the system. So that is one way of approach. So that is an illegal approach, right? But when the corresponding receiver for which the data has been set, that person is decoding, that is something different, right? Now, while talking about the statistical analysis process, so we have seen that most of the steganographic algorithms that work on the images that consider that LS bit, the least significant bit, is random. Okay, because lot many algorithms you will see that by modifying that LS bit, the some way the data has been sent. So we can easily check for that LS bits whether they are random or not. Okay, and can identify the presence of some hidden data or not. Okay, now the filter can be applied to an image. Suppose one image, the original file you are having, and then you are getting the same image, and you can sorry, you can you can apply a filter to that image, and you can check, right, whether those LSP is random or not, and you can identify that those two images which is showing the same thing, whether they are same or not. Okay. Now, after inserting hidden information to an image, then so LSP is the most common way. That is the where random bits are incorporated and the secure messages are, suppose I can give you an example, just a second. I can give you one example, that is, suppose um, you are having an image file, okay, and all the pixels, the ls bit you have changed with your secure message. You have, suppose you have a text message, you need to share that, the secure text message you have converted to the bit pattern, and you have changed the ls bit of the pixels and incorporated the same. So these can be done, right? But these techniques are easily identified by the statistical analysis. Okay. This can be applied to the audio files also, right? Why we are targeting the ls bit? Because of the visibility. Because when you are changing the value of the ls bit, that is not affecting the pixel value that much, right? Least affecting the pixel value rather. So the visibility is not affected that much. So statistical analysis is one other way of statistical analysis. Then frequency scanning, right? Uh, which software is being accessed also, right? So that is one way. Now moving to the next thing, there is the recovery. Okay, recovery of the watermark data. Okay, now that is hard obviously, but if it is following some easygoing techniques, so that is surely going to be tracked in the statistical analysis method. Okay. Now, if the data is hidden in the disk unencrypted, then it can easily be recovered. But if it is, deleted data, that can be reconstructed. Even if it is wiped, also that can be reconstructed. And you can check the swap files for the password and encryption key, and that can be recovered as well. So, and some software tools are also there, like they will help you in scanning and reconstructing of the deleted data. So they can help in getting us the, or letting us know that how the purchase has happened, or if it has happened any, right? So they can help us in breaking the encryption. Software tools are there, different software tools are there, ace tool is there, some other tools are also there. So and some data, that suppose some original data that has been overwritten, that can be, that has been destroyed by overwritten. So some software tools are also there, they can regenerate or reconstruct, okay, what was there, by using those ram slack space or so. They can recover the content. Okay, so that was more or less all of my topic I had thought about today. That is, these are the few references you can go through. Some books are mentioned here. That is, one is from Springer book series, that is Cyber Threat Intelligence, and another one is that Cybersecurity Essentials, that is a CSC Press book. You can go through them. Some research papers are also I have mentioned here. So that is a very recent topic, and we should be careful enough. And the thing is that what I can tell you, that what I have tried to sum up out here is what is the cyber crimes, and what are the threats, and what are the ways the thing is happening, and how the cyber forensics is handling that. And then I have tried to give you some idea about anti-forensics, that is anti-forensics techniques, that is, that will give us the idea about how we can protect by hiding. Okay, we are hiding the secret information in the background, how the thing is done. So this is more or less overall my content, and that's all. Thank you everyone. If you have any query, you can tell me. And I can share my mail ID out here with you. If you are actually, my I am working in this steganography area, in this data heading area, and in this zero modification based techniques. So if you feel interested, you can contact me. This is my mail ID. That's all from my end today. Thank you for being so great. I mean,
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enriching us with such a resourceful session. We are really privileged to attend this session of yours. Now we will depart for 1 hour lunch break and continue with our session on advancement of cybersecurity by Professor Bubu Bhuiya from 3:15 p.m. onwards. Thank you, everyone. And the meeting link will be same.